be what I wanna be. If I work hard at it, if I work hard at it, I'll be where I wanna be. I'll be where I wanna be. Hi, good morning, everybody. So we're about to start. I just want to do like a quick check if everybody can hear me. So if you can hear me, like you can just say hi or like leave like hi in the chat or leave a reaction. I just want to be sure that I am heard. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so today is today's going to be very interesting, pretty interesting, especially for the students here. Of course, before we begin, we'll give you get like a full explanation and a full like knowledge. You get the full knowledge of what JuCE Africa is all about. So I think what I am pretty much going to be doing in this moment is just sorry, it's just letting you know what this particular event, this particular session is all about and what you're going to pretty much gain at the end of it. We're very excited, particularly for the students that are here, because while this is a very broad conversation that involves everybody, the students that are joining us today are really sorry for all the adults, but they're like our main like stakeholders today because it very much concerns them, and we're just very happy and excited to be able to bridge that gap. So today we're going to be having our university preparation program, and what this is really going to entail for you is that you get to know how to prepare for the next step. You get to know how to prepare for university. A lot of us didn't get that. A lot of us didn't have that opportunity. And for the adults that are here, I know that there are a number of you that are also seeking, like there are a number of you that are probably seeking like second degrees or seeking like to advance your education portfolio. So this is also for you. You're not left out of the conversation, because the fact that I don't want to say that you missed it the first time, but the fact that you didn't get this opportunity the first time doesn't mean that you don't have something to gain from here. So without further ado, I don't know if that word resonates with the younger people here. Like like the fact I said adieu just feels so aged, but without wasting any more time, I'm just going to be introducing the people that you're going to be hearing from today, so that you would know that you have a very packed, like you're in for a very interesting and well thought out session. And I just want to use this opportunity to just tell all of us that are in right now, if you have, friends, family members, people that you feel that this session will be very, very, very beneficial to them, I would really, really love for you to just put them on this call. Like perhaps they're even sitting next to you. You can put this on speaker, let them listen in and let them really gain, because it's very, very beneficial and it's going to be very, very packed. So without wasting your time further, I think our first speaker is someone that anyone that has been at JuCE Africa events should be familiar with at this time. So if you have been a part of any JuCE Africa, if you've been a part of any JuCE Africa event, you should know who this person is by now, because she's no one but the founder of JuCE Africa, Adeze Okeke. And a lot of you might know that she has a very broad background, portfolio, anything that has to do with maritime. She should be like your go-to person. So like when you go through her portfolio and all the things that she's done, you would understand why. Like she's had like a diverse experience with education, and all of which she is putting into use today. So she's someone that you would want your children to hear from, pretty much. So and she's also going to be telling us more about JuCE Africa in a minute. But before I give her the floor to do that, I would also like to introduce our second speaker for today. So our second speaker is nobody but Nwanne Nwonwu. Nwonwu, and so I feel like I didn't do justice to pronouncing her last name, which is terrible. Um, but Nwanne is someone that I think she relates and resonates so much with what JuCE Africa stands for, and we're so excited to have her because she has very notable work in the tech ecosystem. She is an innovation specialist, and she primarily focuses on venture building, strategy, corporate innovation. I know, like for some of the for some people here, this sounds like a bunch of like like what is all this? But it is a very interesting and diverse space. So just think of it as where you see companies, like companies don't just spring up, right? They all start from somewhere. It's what we call like startups. So think about her as that go-to person that helps start those startups, pretty much help build those startups within the tech ecosystem, and also helps them to grow. And I think what is very interesting, like most people in the JuCE Africa family, she's exploring, like her career path is explored outside what she studied. She studies sociology. So you know that she's coming in like with a unique experience to share as well. So she's also the founder of the Talent Pipeline company. They offer internships, trainings, and boot camps for undergraduates and recent graduates. So like I said, we're not you're going to be speaking with people that have like firsthand information, and perhaps you would probably want to keep in contact with them out after this event today. So without wasting any more of your time, because we need to keep this going because it's the weekend. We don't want to leave everybody here. We don't want to keep people here for long. I'm just going to open the floor to the founder of JuCE Africa to give us like a quick run through of JuCE and pretty much just get you incorporated. So that the first those of you that are just joining us for the first time, you get to know why you're here and get to know why JuCE Africa exists. So Ada, the floor is yours, or rather the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Chika, for the very kind introduction. Um, Somcho, please, if you could just go back a few slides to why we're here. And yeah, thank you. Welcome to the students who are here today. I believe, as usual, we have students from Metropolitan College in Plateau State, and also students from Enugu, from the Center of Memories institution that we partner with. So thank you for being here. To every student that is here. And like always, like I would always say, please listen. Please listen, take notes, be willing, and be open to asking questions. So I'll just give a quick intro into why we're here, what JuCE is about, and why this is important. So as a child, one important question that you get asked at least once a month, or probably the most frequently asked question is, what do you want to do what do you want to be when you grow up, right? That's a question you get a lot. And as a child, oftentimes your answer will change from time to time, right? So next slide, please. Your answer will change from time to time. And usually what happens is you get your answer from either what you've heard your parents say, or what they want you to study, or what you've seen around you. But usually there's not a lot of, you don't have a lot of opportunity to see many other careers outside, right? For example, you don't have a lot of opportunity to get support and mentorship. So mentorship meaning somebody who will guide you to say, oh, you want to study XYZ because of XYZ. Do you know that there's also this career, that career, that career? So usually there's not a lot of that kind of support. And also in terms of preparing for university, this is something that is wholly lacking in the system we have today. There is not a lot of guidance. I always say it's that the average Nigerian child starts preparing for JAMB in SS3, usually a few months before they even have to take the JAMB. But then every Nigerian child today knows that they have to take JAMB, or some form of an assessment test to get into school, right? So there's no reason for this, there's no reason why we should leave it to the last minute. So that's what JuCE is about. JuCE wants to give you the opportunity to find out as many jobs or as many things or professions you can do as possible when you're still young. So that we don't want you to say, maybe let me start with medicine now. Let me start with medicine. They say I should do science. And then you start with medicine, you now find out you don't like medicine. That's it. Let me do microbiology because maybe it's not as stressful as medicine, but it's still in the sciences. You now go tomorrow. I'm not sure microbiology is working out. No, we don't want you to be stumbling about trying to find your way. We want you from a young age to get all the support you need to find your way. We want to introduce you to internships, to open days, and to volunteering opportunities so that you can see already from a young age what you enjoy, what you like, what you do not like. We want to partner you with mentors. So with these types of talks we're having today, but also if you have a question, for example, you want to be an animator, or you want to be an actress, or you want to be a pharmacist, and you don't know anybody around you, you can ask questions on what subjects should I study? Do I need to know math to be a pharmacist? All those types of things. What university can I go to? JuCE wants to partner you with people who can help you. And JuCE also wants to be in that position to help you get into universities, not just in Nigeria, but outside of Nigeria. And that's actually what the talk today is about. It's about university preparation. It's about making sure that when you get to SS3, when you have to enter the university, you're not scrambling trying to find somewhere to go. It's about making sure that at that point it's about making sure that at that point you know where you want to go. You already have that opportunity, that insight into where you want to be. So next slide, please. So that's what JuCE is about. That's why we're here. We want to help you build your future with purpose, with clarity and intentionality. Next slide. So how can you get involved with JuCE? Well, if you're here today, I'm happy to tell you that you're in a wonderful place and you're already involved, right? If you're listening today, that means you're already part of JuCE, as especially for the young people or the parents or the educators who are here. I'm a huge advocate for JuCE not being a silo for students alone, but JuCE being an ecosystem, meaning we want parents involved, because as much as we want to advise young people and support them, parents play a huge role in what their child will be for the future. So if you say you want to study theater arts, for example, if your parents are not supportive, they don't pay your fees, that's the end of that dream. So what we want to do here is to make JuCE an ecosystem where parents can come and we can also support them to support their kids. Okay, we want to bring out success stories in industry so that they see that, okay, my child saying he or she wants to go into this course, it's viable with the right direction. That's what we're about. So, and then of course the educators, teachers and educators spend a lot of time with students, probably more than their parents, especially if they're in like boarding house and things like that. So we want teachers involved as well. I know the last session we had a wonderful teacher from Metropolitan College asking questions already in how she can support her students. And that's a testament to why it's important that it's not just the young people we're speaking to, it's also the teachers, it's the parents and all of that. So we encourage you, everyone who is here, thank you for joining today. And we encourage you going forward to please pull in, teachers, pull in parents into these types of talks, as well as pulling in the students. Of course, you can become a member of JuCE, and that means, being part of our team, supporting us in the work that we do. And there are so many people who make this work. You've met Chika, she's a volunteer at JuCE, and she's a member of JuCE. The person sharing the slide, Somcho, again, a member of JuCE, and, our resident animator and design person in JuCE. So you can be a member and offer your services and support. You can become a mentor. So Miss Nwanne Nwonwu that we have today is a mentor at JuCE, and that means she's taking her skills, her insights, and she's sharing it today with young people. So you can become a mentor. If you're a young professional in any field, we want to connect with you and we want to see how the children can learn from your experiences. You can become a sponsor of JuCE. It takes a considerable amount of financial resources to run JuCE, to get JuCE into as many communities as possible. We don't want JuCE to be just for, you know, the most expensive schools or the most elite schools. We want every child in Nigeria to be able to make better career decisions, even if it's just by hearing one thing we say or, you know, one other thing. So yeah, so you can become a sponsor of JuCE. You can become a career partner. And like I said before, we're very passionate about not just talking to the kids, but giving them life experiences. So if a child says, oh, I think I want to be an accountant, we want to partner with as many companies and institutions around Nigeria to give kids one week, 2 week internships so that they can see what it means to be an accountant, an animator, or an actress, or a producer, or a lecturer, you know. So we want that opportunity for the young children. So if you have an institution or company, please partner with us to give kids real life experiences that can help and shape them into where they want to be. I've said this already, but I'll say it again. Please tell others about JuCE. Very important. Engage with our social media, and you'll see the links at the end of this presentation. But engage with our social media and please share about JuCE on your stories, on your posts, and all of that. It's a wonderful, effective, and very simple way of getting the message across. And then, you know, connect a teenager with JuCE, connect a secondary school student, most importantly, get them the opportunity to have what many of us did not have when we were growing up. So that's effectively why JuCE is here. And like I said before, one of the primary pillars of JuCE is about preparing young people for the university. We don't want young people to we don't want it to be when young people are in SS2, SS3, they start to rush and say, what school do I want to go to? How do I write JAM? Oh, I'm not good at what subjects do I pick for JAM and all of that. You know, we want children to be in a position where as young as possible, and I say this a lot, many of our contemporaries in these like Asian countries, it's often said, oh, they're so smart. Oh, they're so smart. And it's not a testament of their intellectual prowess alone. We Nigerians are just as smart. It's a testament of preparation. It's because they start to prepare very, 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 very early, you know, as young as 10 to 11 years old. That's how young they start to prepare. So if you're a child today and you're 10 and above, you're in the right place. If you're younger, you're also in the right place, because what that means is that you're hearing things that you should be hearing later in life, but you're hearing it earlier, and that can support you already to make the right decisions for the future. So as Nwanne has been introduced, she's amazing. She has a company, Talent Pipeline Company, which supports something similar, but now for undergraduates. So what that means is that this is a very wonderful partnership. At JuCE, we will guide you through secondary school and hand you over to the university. And when you're in the university, you can then partner with Nwanne's company, Talent Pipeline Company, and they will help you and keep supporting you up until you enter the workforce. So you see that this is a very wonderful collaboration and collaboration. And that's why we brought her on board to support for today. And we hope children, please, if you did not hear any other thing I said before, this is the time to listen, okay? So yes, without further ado, we will start why we're here today, the slides for today. So please skip right ahead. So Nwanne and I Nwanne and I rather will be speaking, and what we're going to do is to what we're going to do is to try as much as possible to, sorry, I'm trying to spotlight so that you see other people. You see, okay, so gallery, multi-speaker, spotlight again, add spotlight. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is to make sure that you see the two speakers while they're speaking to you. So yeah, I'm going to start off how to prepare for university. That's why we're here today. And what that involves is finding out what you like, you know, who you are, what you like, what you want to study, and how to get there, regardless of where it is, you know, how to get there. So Nwanne and I will be tag teaming, and that means I can start and she will finish off, or she can start and I'll finish off, and we'll just support each other. The important thing is for you to get as much as possible from both of us. So yeah, next slide, please. Next slide, Santo, please. Okay, so why is this topic important? Why is it important that you're in secondary school? As I know, many of the children joining us are in JuCE 1, JuCE 2. I'm not sure if there are much older students joining us today. Maybe from Metropolitan College, there might be. But why is it that you're hearing about this today? University for many of you might be 4 years away, 5 years away. Why is it important you're hearing about this today? Because if you hear about this today, you can start preparing. And if you start preparing today, that means you get your chances of getting into the schools you want, into the courses that you want, into the type of life that you want. It means that it improves, right? So Alexandra Bell says, before anything else, preparation is the key to success. If you're not preparing, then the chances of getting the things you want, it's reduced. That's the same reason before an exam, you're studying. Because if you don't study before the exam, that's the preparation. If you don't study, chances of passing that course, it reduces, So what we're doing today is that preparation. By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail. If you don't start preparing today, that means that when that time comes, when you're getting into the university, you now say, this school, they don't accept this score I had in JAM. Okay, what will I now do? Okay, let me take any other course they are willing to give me. At that point, you're already compromising. We don't want that for you. We want to put you in a position where you get what you want when you need it. Okay, so next slide, please. So I'm going to give a story which was trending in the news last year, I believe in 2023. Femi Ositade, he is a young Nigerian teenager. He studied in Nigeria, just like you're studying. He went to secondary school here, just like you're going. And he got into 13 foreign universities, all of them on scholarships. Okay. And just to mention that's why I cropped out some of these things here, just to mention some of the universities he got into. He got into Harvard, he got into Brown, he got into Duke, he got into Carnegie Mellon, he got into even universities in Qatar, he got into universities in Canada. And one thing I really want you to see here is that he received 14 scholarships from these universities, 9 of which are full scholarships, covering tuition, so that means they pay his school fees, covering accommodation, that means they pay his rent, covering allowance, that means they give him money to feed and to do other things, and covering expenses, that means they give him money even to buy stuff. So what this means is that 9 of these scholarships, all he has to do is to show up. He doesn't need to do any other thing. All he's doing is showing up, and they're paying his school fees, they're paying for his accommodation, they're paying for everything. What does this tell you? It tells you that today, if you start preparing, because I'm sure we're going to get the question. Oh, sorry. Please mute your mic when you join. I'm sure we're going to get the question of, oh, I'm not sure, yes, it's one thing to say all these, get into the best universities, but who will pay? Look at what he says down here. It says, Ositade remarked that these feats could not have been possible without zeal and without the preparatory efforts of his alma mater, okay? What I want you to take away from this is preparatory efforts. That means that to be in this type of place, and to get this type of opportunity, it will not land in your lap just because you pray, or just because you want it with all your heart, or just because you dream it. You have to work for it. And that's what JuCE wants to support you to do, to work for it. We want to produce as many Femi Ositade's as possible in JuCE, in Nigeria, for our future, okay? So that's why this topic is important. That is why we're here today. So next slide, please. So what is as I call it, a quick formula for preparation? Quick formula for preparation is to have faith, okay? Faith is believe in your heart, with all of your heart, that what you're seeking is possible. Okay, trusting God that that is possible. That is the faith aspect of it. Now, if you're a Christian, the Bible says faith without works is dead. That means if you're working, if you're having faith, I just think, I want it, and you're not working for it, it's useless. Okay, so have faith, preparation, start working for it, start preparing, which is what we're doing here. Then you should be working hard, but not just working hard, you should be working smart. Okay, and perseverance. And perseverance means just you keep going. Sometimes when you try for something, you might not get it immediately. Okay, sometimes when you try for something, it might not work out immediately. Sometimes you will try to get an internship, they will not give it to you. You shouldn't say, I tried, but I tried. You should keep saying, the next thing to do is, okay, what else can I do differently? Okay, so this is the quick formula for success as far as JuCE is concerned. Okay, and honestly, you can apply this to many other things in your life, but for your university preparation, this is the quick formula. And then next slide, now we're going to give you a quick overview of the program. What is actually the program? The program is made up of 3 key things. It's made up of self-reflection, it's made up of decision-making and goal setting and execution. You don't have to remember those words. You don't have to remember it might probably be too big. What matters is self-reflection is finding out who you are. Who am I? Okay, what do I like? Who am I? Then decision-making involves thinking, what do I want to do? Okay, what do I want to do with my life? And then goal setting means, how do I get there? Okay, so that's the quick JuCE program flowchart. So I'm just going to hand over to Nwanne to maybe comment on some of the things I've said, but also, speak on the topic of who am I, so that you get to hear from her. Because you've heard from me a lot on this platform. So hear from someone different, someone with a lot of experience as well with this. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Ada. Hello, everyone. I'm super excited to be sharing my Saturday morning with you. Thank you, Ada, and the JuCE team for putting this together, for bringing me on board. The conversation we're having today is something that I am, always excited to talk about and share with younger people. And so like everything, I agree with everything that has said up until this very point. Just to drive home, that conversation around the most frequently asked questions that you get as a growing child. What do you want to be? Sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on you, or you're just thinking, okay, well, it seems like doctors are making a lot of money, so I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a lawyer because they're all lawyers in my family. So I want to challenge you today that when you're asked that question, please do not feel pressured. You can politely respond with, so I think these are the things I'm passionate about at this time, and I'm happy to explore XYZ. So you can give more than 1 or 2 things. And hopefully you're speaking to the right person who is able to sort of provide you with guidance as to, okay, you have this varying interest. Maybe you should talk to XYZ person because I have expertise in only one. So that's my challenge to you. And for parents who are on the call and educators, I would also like to throw us a challenge that rather than put young people under the pressure of asking them what they want to be, because the truth is that even we as grown-ups, as adults, we're winging it. We're still trying to figure out a lot of things, right? So maybe the question would be, what are you passionate about? What do you think? What interests you? And try to help them find their way, their path into what might be meaningful or useful for them as they go on their journey. Because the truth is that we're all continuously on a journey. We never completely figure it out. You can start out in this career path, and then 5 years down the line, you find something more interesting, more intriguing, and you want to move, you want to make a switch. So I'll just give my own personal story. So I remember when I was switching from junior secondary school into senior secondary school. So Ada and I went to the same secondary school, by the way. And so we had that long break, and you're supposed to come in to speak with the guidance and counselor before you get into SS1. And that's where you're supposed to choose what class you want to be. So are you going to be in the science or commercial or arts class? And I remember going in with my mom, daddy, and like super pumped that there was this book that we had then where it's sort of like preparing you for your career or something. I can't remember exactly what the what the title of that book was, but then it just gives like an overview of different career paths. And to be honest, I'm going to be very, very honest. Me, I was just looking for the quickest course. I didn't want to stress myself. I was tired already. And so when we went in, and the counselor said, "So what do you want to be?" And I said I wanted to study, or I think what would you like to study? And I said I wanted to study international relation or something. And it was really surprising to my mom because like all her life, I always said I wanted to be a doctor. Where did this come from? Because we didn't have a conversation prior to going in for that. But in her head, it's just like, oh, one has always said she was going to be a doctor. One wants to be a doctor. And now I had gotten into secondary school. We've not had the conversation ever since then. So she was like surprised, but she didn't say anything. And the counselor said, or what? I didn't get the concept at that point because I'm like, okay, so if I don't do that, maybe banking and finance. And then the counselor says, or what? And so I just go back to say, or medicine. And because also like that session would have been useful if we were prepped ahead of time as to how they wanted us to think about it. Because I didn't know the reason why she was asking me or what was because she was trying to see if all my interests were in the same sector. So because if you're going to have to select, they wanted you to have two options of what you want to be, but it had to be within the same class. So you have to either, like if it's science, so if you're choosing medicine, it's either medicine or dentistry, for example, or if it's commercial, so you're either saying you want to do banking and finance or international relation was art. So I was confused. I had just said all the things because I've read. I'm like, okay, international relations seems like an easy thing. And oh, yes, I'll get to travel. I'll get to explore the world. I'll get to learn about different other countries and whatnot. Banking and finance, oh, well, it just seemed like as a banker, you're going to be dealing with money. So you would make money. And then the third choice was medicine because like that's something I always thought I wanted to be when I was younger. I love to care for people. I still love to care for people, but I wasn't properly guided at that point. So I remember my mom saying to the counselor, please, can we come back? Like, let's go home, let's have a conversation and we'll come back. But to be honest, I was really in a hurry and in a rush. And I wanted us to sort it out. I wanted us to sort it out that day. I didn't want to have to come back to school because it was the holiday to come back to school again to start from the beginning. Because the counselor said, when you come back, we're going to start from the scratch. And I said, I'm happy to go. So the counselor looked at my junior WAEC result and said, oh, but you're good in math, you're good in science. So maybe you should just like, go for medicine since that's one of the things you already mentioned. And at that point, I really didn't want to have to deliberate a lot. So I said, you know what, medicine is it? And she said, second choice. And I said, medicine. And my mom said, is that what she wants to do? I said, yes. We got home. I remember her asking me that night again, are you sure that's what you really want to do? And I'm like, oh, well, yes, I already selected it. I have put that down. I mean, SS1 doesn't mean that I can't change my mind down the line. Well, I didn't have that conversation that way, but somewhere at the back of my head, I did think that, it was there. So I went on and I was in a science class from SS1 to SS3. SS1 was a breeze. SS2, I probably struggled a bit because it wasn't exciting anymore for me. But then at the point where I had to make a decision as to what I wanted to do in the university, based off what I had said, I think my mom in every genuineness of being a good parent was just trying to support me to be the best that I could be. Like, if you want to do this, I know that it gets tiring along the way. And she tried to encourage me. So the first job that I wrote, I did apply for medicine. But when I had a break, when we took the holiday after SS3, I really thought about it and I said, is this what I want to do for the next 7 years of my life? And so I'm glad that I was able to get the support of my mom to not pursue medicine anymore because I figured that even if I study medicine for 7 years, I'm not going to practice it. And that's how I eventually switched to sociology. So yes, I've done that sociology. I've done a master's in project development and implementation, which sort of all sits under international, relation, which is what I mentioned just because, for the fun of it back then, because it seemed like it was going to be easy. But all that could have been avoided if the question was, what is it that you're passionate about? And that you can only answer that question when you know who you are. So coming back to, self-reflection, who am I? What do I like? What makes me excited? What sparks me up? And I know that a lot of times, like, so even as adults, when you're asked who you are, we're tempted to define ourselves based on our career. Like, okay, so I am Nwanne, I am a project manager because that's what I am. That's the career that I've chosen. But that's not who I am as in my whole entirety. I am more than that. So take, for example, okay, so this is a bottle, right? What's in it? It's water. How do you describe this bottle? I can describe this bottle in like so many ways. It's made of steel. There's water in it. Tomorrow I can decide to put juice in it or smoothie, like liquid content. It can be hot, it can be cold. So like there are different ways that we can describe ourselves, right? And we don't need to stick to, oh, my name is Toby Loba. I am the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Makonjola. I am 18 years old. Yes, that's one part of you. But then outside of that, what excites you? What are your hobbies? What are the things that you like to do? Do you like to swim? Do you like to travel? Do you want to explore the world? Do you like to read? Are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? What are the things that I struggle with? What are the subjects that I enjoy? What do I like to talk about? Where do I like to be? By defining yourself, by knowing exactly who you are, it sort of helps to shape where you want to be, where you want to go. And to be honest, I think I've mentioned it already that it's a journey, it's a continuous journey. You're never going to be able to completely and fully define who you are in one sitting. We are all going to go through like different phases, right? So I'm in this phase of my life right now. In the next 5 years, I'm probably going to be in a different phase. 5 years ago, I was in a different phase in my life. I had different struggles. I had different things I was thinking about. I had a slightly different angle of where I wanted to be. So where I was 5 years is totally different from where I am now. But I think one thing I would like for us to leave here with today is understanding, because like your journey would change. That's Sorry, please can you mute your microphone? Okay, yeah. So what was I saying? Like on this journey, you are going to be at different phases at different times, and it's totally okay. And it's better that you embrace it, right? Don't fight it, don't struggle. Yes, I said that I always said I wanted to be a doctor. I did not have to die being a doctor. So imagine that I went on and I studied medicine for 7 years and I have now finished from the university and I maybe even started to practice medicine and I'm just frustrated in that role, right? So it's okay to switch. But one thing that I would like for us to leave here with today is the underlying factor in understanding who you are is knowing what your value system is, because that's what is going to guide you at every point in your journey. So what is my value system? And in talking about value, maybe a better way to describe it that we would understand is what is my purpose? What is my purpose in life? So in trying to define who you are, you're going to be talking about what is my general purpose? And it was only, say, some 4 years ago that I got complete clarity about what my purpose in life is. But when I did reflect back, I did see that my journey, my career journey, how I have gone on my journey had always been tied to my purpose. I just hadn't defined it. So it's never too late. And so I know that we're speaking to the young people here, but we also have parents, we have educators. And I think that this session is useful for each and every one of us. It's never too late to, define what your purpose is. And we have another person unmuted. So it's okay to go back and reflect and try to see what exactly is my purpose. It's never too late to make that call, because in defining what your purpose and your value is, it helps you on your journey so that at each and every phase you can define yourself in a different way and in a different light, but then you're staying true to your value. Because when we talk about our different, going on a different journey, being at different phases, you're not going to say that today I am a good person and then tomorrow you're not going to be, because okay, I'm passionate about making money, and I'm going to use a very vague example. I'm passionate about making money. Yes, of course, everybody wants to make money, everybody wants to live good. So I'm doing something legal, and then tomorrow, because I'm passionate about making money, somebody says to me that, oh, there's this business that we can do and it's going to bring you quick money so that you can travel to the Bahamas, Dubai, and just do a world tour. And then it's illegal business that you're introducing me to. So it's probably like cybercrime or doing something that cheating people out of their own hard-earned money. Is that what your value is? No. So it's important that we know what our value system, defining what your value system is, helps you as you go on your journey and as you continue to define yourself, as you continue to answer the question, who am I? First of all, the ground the starting point, I think, is like understanding what your value is. Who do I want to be? What is my purpose? What have I been called to do? It will take a while. Be patient with yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You would make mistakes. Pick yourself back up, but just continue to explore and define and try to define yourself in terms of like, who am I? So I'll give you, and I'm going to stop in the next 2 minutes and hand over back to Ada to like, also chip in some things. But it was only up until like maybe say some 2 years ago that I learned how to properly describe myself beyond what work that I do, because I do not want to tie my value and myself to the work that I do, because my career can change in the next 5 years. I can decide to go into investment banking, for example, in the next 5 years. So am I now going to like, is that all I'm going to tie myself to? Right now, I'm an innovation specialist. But then what if I want to go into investment banking? So I learned to describe and define myself in a different way. And this is the season that I am in. And it has changed in the over the past years. It's probably changed like 3 times. But right now, the way that I define myself is I am light. So every room I walk into, I illuminate that room. How does that help me understand what I am doing? How does that help me understand the work that I'm doing with young, university undergraduates and fresh graduates? I bring them light, I bring them hope, because there's that saying about, there's light at the end of the tunnel. So I want to be that person that I am giving hope to young people that your dreams are valid. You can be everything and everything you set your mind to. And so that is why I am light. I also describe myself as salt of the earth, because I bring taste, I bring sweetness, I bring, excitement to every situation, to every conversation. And it's sort of like, just ties into each, like the work that I do. It ties into the way that the interpersonal relationship that I have with my friends, with my family, and people that I engage with. So I want us to start to look at ourselves beyond just, I am a student now, I am in JS2, I am in JS3. I am the child of XYZ. Who are you? And how does your person reflect in what you're going to do with your life in the world, the change you're going to bring? So I'm going to stop there for now and let Ada also chip in.
Wow, thank you, Nwanne. Very, I always say that when I come to these sessions, I think I want to speak to those kids. And then somehow someone is speaking and I'm learning myself, So thank you for that. Like, what the other thing I'll just chip in on this is sometimes, especially when you're young, trying to find out who you are, what you want is it's a bit difficult, especially, for example, if someone says, do you like to travel? And you've never traveled in your life, how do you know you like to travel? Do you get like, except you come from a certain family that I know when I was younger, the only experience of traveling I had was Christmas time, we would travel to the East. I might not like traveling for Christmas, because when you now travel for Christmas, it's all of the work and stress and, oh, Ada, bring water for this person to wash their hand. Ada, bring it. And I'm just like, yeah. So if you asked me as a child, maybe I would tell you no. But that's because that's the experience I had. So Somto, if you just go to the previous slide before that, because I wanted to the previous slide as well. So sometimes in trying to understand who you are, it's nice to sometimes take some of these small personality tests, okay? Don't take these tests and say, this is what this test said I am, forever and ever, that's what I am. No, but it's just to help you sometimes, some of these tests, you even have to imagine a scenario. So for example, if I'm at an event, am I the person who will go and talk to everybody and want to hear about everybody? Or am I the person who will just reserve myself and speak to some of the few people I know? Or if someone walks up to me, then I speak. Or what am I like in a social situation? When I read books, do I want to read books about, I'll give an example. When I was younger, my parents bought us a lot of books. My elder brothers, they were not into books like that, so they did not read a lot. My younger brother and I love to read stories. I love to read fiction, imaginative stories. Like I remember in school, I would finish reading my novels because I did literature. So those novels we had to do, I finished reading them during the holiday before we even came to school because I love fiction. But the books my younger brother loved, all these 7 wonders of the world, all these very fact-based books. He wants to know things happening, very different from what I liked. I would hardly or barely pick those books up, but he loved them. So again, when even in terms of reading, what do you like? And that already speaks to two different kinds of people. Okay, so some of these tests help you to kind of define, and sometimes you don't even think of it. You don't even think of who you are in some types of ways, but some of these tests support you and help you. We've put the link to one of these types of tests. If you go on Google and you search personality test, you'll find a lot. But we've put a link to one of them because this one is specific as well to directing you to, oh, okay, you might like to be in this type of career because of this type of personality and all of that. So please check it out. So the next thing we will then talk about is, what do I want to do? So you can skip ahead to the next few slides, please. But what do I want to do? And just like Nwanne has said, when you find out who you are, okay, sorry, let's slide before. So the link is in the slide and you will get the slide. So we put a recording of this on YouTube because, sorry, someone is asking, Vaughn is asking, you'll get the slide, sorry, you'll get a recording of this on YouTube, and on the YouTube description, we also put this PowerPoint. So everything we're sharing now, you'll get it and you can access it. So don't worry. Or at the end of this session, I'll quickly put the link for you. But so if you look at this diagram, it's a funnel, right? And if you think of what a funnel is, it's a channel to pour. Thank you, Nwanne. It's a channel to pour things in, right? So it's, what am I good at? What do I like? What makes me happy? What makes me excited? What type of things do I like to do? Do I like to travel, or do I like to, stay in one place and just enjoy one place? All of these types of things will help you or will support you to say, this is what I want to do, okay? For example, when I was younger, one thing I knew I loved to do was to read. I used to read so much that my parents used to think, like at some point, my mom would be like, are you actually reading till the end or you're just skipping? And I'm like, no, I'm reading till the end. But I grew up with all brothers. So when they're out there playing and being rough, I try to do that with them, but after some time, okay. So I loved to read. And then apart from reading, one thing I loved to do as well is just to have commentaries on things or think about. So my parents always used to tell me, as young as I was then, if they would disagree on something, I'll say, Daddy, sit down. Mommy, sit down. Tell me. And then when they'll tell me, I'll be like, Daddy, you're wrong. I was so young. It's funny because they tell me this and I don't remember doing it. But that already speaks to what I liked to do as a child, And I grew up in a stereotypical family where my father said, ooh, I'll have 5 doctors. 5 doctors. And at that young age, I just said, no, it's law for me. And he's like, what? I said, because I want to be a judge of people. I want to judge people. I already knew, being so young, that I wanted to be in that world where I would look at facts. I would look at, things that have happened, and I'll digest and I'll say, this is what applies. This is what should be. This is what we should do, right? But that comes again from knowing who I am, what makes me happy, what makes me excited. I tell this story often that when I was young, a child fainted in primary school, the primary school I went to, and I was so afraid. I was so afraid that I ran out of the class. It was just me and him in the class, PE, we probably went to drink water, and I ran out of the class and I never came back. And I did not tell anybody because I was so scared of what I saw. Now imagine telling me at that point, I had to study medicine. What type of medicine do I want to practice? So, but that was just how I thought of it, that medicine, seeing people faint or bleed or I was like, that's not for me. But again, I say that to say, again, there are so many parts of medicine and so many areas of medicine. I just did not know that at that point. I just felt like this is not what I enjoy. I enjoy to read, I enjoy to discourse, I enjoy to talk. These are the things I enjoy, and law is the career for me. So finding out who you are will really support you in finding out, what do I want to do? Next slide, please. And in figuring out what you want to do, sometimes the answer will not come automatically to you like it comes to some people, okay? Somcho, please, next slide. For me, I felt I'm not sure why number 4 is not showing. Please do next slide again to see if number 4 shows. Yeah, so, but one thing you can do in terms of finding out what do I want to do if you're not sure, go online and research, okay? Just go online and type, especially if you're young, type, what are the jobs for the future? What job can I do if I like reading? What job can I do if I like to build things or put things together? There are people who your parents buy, or when you were younger, if your parents bought you a toy today, by tomorrow you've dismantled it because you want to find out something, you know. What jobs can I do with this type? What jobs can I do if I'm an introvert? So introvert means you don't like to be in front of people a lot, or to talk a lot, or to be around people a lot, you know. You're more an indoor person, you know. What type of jobs do I want to do? Just asking those types of questions, researching on the internet will really help you. Asking your parents, asking adults around you, asking a young person you meet who is going to work, you know, you're like, oh, what job do you do? What does that mean? You know, sometimes I think, for example, if you meet Nwanne and she tells you, oh, I'm a strategist, you just say, strategist. The next question to ask is, what do you do? When you go to the office today now, what do you do? Okay. I say this a lot because I'm not going to lie to you. I meet people and they tell me, oh, I'm a product manager. I'm a this. Yeah, I don't know what that means. So I'm always like, okay, when you go to the office today now, what's the task in front of you? Ask those types of questions, okay? Sorry, please mute your mic if you join the session so that we don't interrupt. Okay. And then, of course, the next thing is, which is so important, so I'm so happy you're here, is to attend the JuCE sessions. The JuCE sessions, we not only have talks like this, which will prepare you for university, but we have young professionals coming to speak to you. Somcho here has spoken to you about animation, you know, if you want to be an animator. In fact, at the point of speaking to you, he was traveling to France to represent Nigeria in an animation conference, okay? If as a child you tell your parents, I want to be an animator. What's an animator? Oh, those people who draw cartoons. They might look at you and be like, you want to draw cartoons. But if you have a Somto who is telling you about his career and the opportunities he's had based on that, your parents will suddenly see that, oh, it's not that they just draw cartoon, no. It's not that they're struggling. It's not all of this. It's that this is a viable career. So attend the sessions. These sessions are there to help you with that. Look for internships. JuCE is here to support with some of these internships. For example, we're currently speaking to Animation Nigeria to get 2 kids an opportunity to do an internship. So you go learn what it means to be an animator for 1 or 2 weeks. We're speaking to a few other companies, one engineering company, one oil and gas company for these opportunities. But even without JuCE, okay, internships can be in your, what business do your parents do? Find your way into that place, support them, okay? Internships can be, if you say you want to be a lawyer, there can be a law firm just down your street. Ask your parents to take you. Tell them, oh, you just want to observe and see what they do to, you know, that you want to be a lawyer in future, that you want to see what they do, that can they, you know, take you along. When I was younger, what I used to do was my parents would just get me a taxi. They would drop me at courts. Entering any courtroom is free. So I'll just go into this courtroom, sit down, listen to what's happening. When they finish, I'll go open the next door, see what's happening in the next courtroom. If there's a sitting, I sit down, I listen. Sometimes you have to find a way to find this, to find out what is it you want to do. So if you're thinking, maybe law, maybe journalism, maybe this, maybe that, start to explore those things so that you have an idea. I have a friend who he went into school and studied accounting. And the very first day for his NYSC, he was put into, I can't remember where he was posted. He said after that first day, he told himself that if I had done even one internship, I would have known that this accounting was not for me. But he did not. So he was just in school studying, passing, and he was a smart student, studying, passing, but no insight into what he actually wanted to do. And when he went there that first day, he's like, no, this life is not for me. So now he's into marketing and supporting brands to, you know, get their products out there to the audience. He likes to speak, he likes to be out there, he likes to network, And the life of an accountant is very different from that. That's what an internship will let you know, you know? And then take some of these career tests. Again, go online and just search, career tests. You'll find a lot of them. What these tests are meant to do, it's not to tell you, you must do this, you must do that, but it's to give you ideas of what is out there, what is available, what is possible. Okay? So take some of these tests to support yourself and to help yourself. Nwanne, I don't know if you have extra thoughts on this, but please take it away.
I think you've pretty much covered. I'll just add to the ways to explore internships. So one way or the other, we have so aside from our immediate families, there's other external social gatherings we attend. So for example, you're Christian, you're thinking about XYZ career path or a job that you want to do. There's probably someone within your church fellowship that your parents can speak to say, oh, my child is thinking about this. Can you take this person? Can the person come to your office for 1 week and just see how it's done? Because what Ada has, the story about her friend which she shared is very, very very real. And I did see it even happen in recent times, right? So he studied accounting and now he realized that he has a flair for marketing. So he spent 4 years or maybe even 5, we don't know, studying accounting, and now he's realized that he doesn't want to do it. I have people within our community, she's in school of nursing, but she's already positioning herself to become a product manager. She's started taking certification programs. She's looking for ways that she can intern. But because she has already registered for that program in nursing, she's there already. Her parents are paying her school fees, but she's in there and she's figured that I don't want to have to do this. So I think a good way to explore even before you make that big decision around selecting the course of B until you've explored. So it just looks nice in writing, on paper, accounting. See me, as I said, I wanted to. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. We cut off a little bit, but we can hear you now.
All right, because I got the notification that my internet was unstable. So yes, you've seen accounting is nice. I'm going to make money. I'm going to be dealing with money. So perhaps I'm going to make a lot of money. Me, I like money. I'm an Igbo girl. I want to make money. And then I get into it, and then I realized oh no, man, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of mathematics. As much as I can deal with maths, do I really love maths? Do I want to do this do I want to be dealing with numbers all the days of my life? Please, no, I need a break. I want to live a baby girl, chilled life. So let me just take but okay, disclaimer, there's really no easy route out of all this. There is no cost, there is no job that is, the simplest. But I think a good way to think about it is, what is it that you're really interested in and what are you passionate about? Because days when things get really hard, is your passion that drives you. And that's why I always support and I say to people, go after things that you're passionate about, because when the going is tough, it's your passion that fuels your energy. Because sometimes even if you're making a lot of money, you just realize that one morning you're like, how much is this money self? It's not worth it. But if you're passionate about it, it keeps you going and it pushes you. And then just to add on again, sometimes so you can do research. Sometimes I learn from the darnest things. I'm watching a movie and I'm picking solid lessons from it. And then I just said that to also emphasize that if you love to read books, even if it's fiction novels that you're reading, they might be talking about different jobs that people take. Don't just read it for the fun of reading it. Be inquisitive. Try to research. Okay, so they said this person is doing XYZ job. Oh yes, they described it this way, that this is what the person does in the office, but maybe it's not even explicit enough. Go for that. Try to understand, what's this about? What does it entail? What do I need to do to get into it? And just explore before you make a major decision. And I would like for you to know that it's totally okay to change your mind at some point down the line. So don't be too hard on yourself, but explore as many opportunities now that you're young, so that you sort of figure out where you want to be and you're aligned towards what your passion and your interests are. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nwanne. I really like that you keep emphasizing it's okay to change your mind, because, life is not one straight journey. Life is not this way. Life is this way, that way, that way. But what matters is making sure that at every point you have as much information as you need, right? And that's what we advocated. Don't be doing this, that, and you're just stumbling okay, no, I'm just, this one is not working out. That one is no. Be in a position where you're evolving, aka I started with law. I love it. It's exciting. Ooh, how about I enter into AI? Because with AI that is coming in, we're going to have to monitor and regulate, you know, how artificial intelligence will interact with humans, how will robots interact with humans. But you started from law, and your law is the basis. You know, if you were at the session last week, we spoke about having that base and then building on it. So evolve, but don't stumble. Stumbling, no. Also, if you stumble once or twice, don't be hard. I think that's also important to say. Remember that at any point, you can pick up yourself and you start to apply these principles and you will get there. So then the next step of the program is, how do I get to what I want? Okay. And this is please could you do next again, because I think number 3 is missing for some reason. I'm not sure why this is happening. Okay, wonderful. Not sure why this is happening. Okay, so I put an example here for example, a video game designer. Okay, and I use this example because it's not the regular law, medicine, accounting that we know at home. You know, video game designer, it's pretty out there. And what that means is that potentially there might not be any Nigerian university. I did not check, but now this is for you. If you think, if you love to play games, if you love video games, you know, again, that should tell you, why do I like this? Why does it excite me? It's part of the who am I? Why does it excite me? Why does it make me so happy like that? I mean, that kind of world, you know, and you can say, you know what? I want to be in a position to build games that people enjoy as well. So I use this example to show what it means to get into some courses that might not be available in Nigeria, but any of these lessons that we're teaching here, it's relevant whether the course you're studying is in Nigeria or not in Nigeria. I'm also using this as an example to show, like I said at the beginning, the fact that maybe today you look at it and you're like, I know my parents, we cannot afford school outside of the country. My parents cannot pay. I'm using this example to show what it looks like to get there without your parents being able to pay. So just like the young man, Femi Ositaje, that got full scholarship, so paying for him to even his personal expenses, allowance, so paying for everything, all that guy has to do is to show up to school with his clothes on his, in fact, he can even shop with an empty suitcase, because guess what? They give him allowance. So he can go and shop for new clothes. Think about what that means for you today. And that's why I'm using the video game design as an example. So for example, you decide, video game designer, you know, what do I want? That's what I think I want to do. It can be video game designer. It can be, you know, maybe programming and tech. It can be 3-4 things you've settled on. The process will be the same. It's to start with, what are the universities in the world that offer this course I'm interested in? What are the schools? What are the schools in the world that offer this course? Again, a simple Google search to go schools that do video game design. I actually went through this process just to put this list together, right? So I literally went and Googled, what are some of the top schools that do video game design? And first on the list, I believe, was Stanford and MIT, and there were a ton of schools, okay? So I'm already thinking, I'm saying, these schools are not in Nigeria. And what does that mean for me? That means for me that I have to start planning, how can I get from Nigeria, wherever I am, if you're in JuCE, if you're in Plateau, if you're in Lagos, how can I transport myself into the US to get into MIT, to get into Harvard? That's what my brain is telling me, okay? So the next step to go to is now to click on each school on that list. Take your time, especially, and I say this, and this is why what we are doing today is important. If you're in JSS 1, JSS 2, JSS 3, SS1, you have a lot of time to literally sit down, and all you're doing is just checking, okay, I have an interest. Let's say today now you have an interest in medicine, or like one international relations. You start to search, what schools do international relations? What schools give scholarships for international relations? What can I do when I graduate with international relations? You can literally search that. And the thing with the internet is that it's not that there is no information, it's that there's too much. And so you now have to, at some point, pull yourself out and say, okay, I have enough information. But the first thing to always do is to search. I think every single session we have, I say this, and I cannot overemphasize it because it applies for even us adults. Use your smartphones, your mobile phones, your computers. Use it for things that will benefit your life. Instagram is good. TikTok is fun. But except you're studying to be a content creator, and we have a content creator that is going to speak. Chika, our host for today, is a content creator, and she's going to speak to us later about the science of content or the arts of content creating. Unless you're doing research purposes, please don't spend 3-4 hours on TikTok, on Instagram in a day. There is no real benefit to you, okay? Spend that time instead looking into what you want to do. Google the university. What are the requirements of each school? Especially if you're studying outside the country, these are 4 requirements. It doesn't matter what else the school says. These 4 requirements are always standard. You must be a good student. I did not say you must be the best graduating student in your set. I did not say you must have 500 A's, but you must have a very good O-level background. That is WAEC background or NECO background. You must have that. And what that means today is that if today you're struggling with school and instead of working hard on it, you're playing, or you're thinking, no, that means today, if you look at that, you're like, oof, this school needs me to have this type of background. You start working on it today. If this is what you want. And mind you, if it's not what you want, if all of this is not what you want, it's okay to say, I don't want to. But if it's what you want, okay, you know you have to start working on it, okay? And one thing I really want to speak on, and one thing that is very important, is the beauty of improvement, okay? Sometimes we think we want to jump from, ooh, maybe I was getting C in mathematics or in biology. I must make an A1. Sometimes the beauty is in you telling the story of how you got from a C to a B, or how you got from an E to a C. And I'm going to speak about that when I come to having an arresting personal statement. It's about speaking to it's about telling the school, okay, that I started off not good, I started off struggling, but this is how I improved it to this. And what this means is that I'm a hard worker and I never take no, and I keep pushing. There is a beauty to that story than just going from, oh, I have all A's, I'm a good student. So look at your life and look at how you can craft some of those things to your benefit, okay? The next part being outstanding SAT scores, okay? Femi Ositade that we saw had 900 out of 900 in mathematics and 890 or so in the English. So SATs are divided into math and English, okay? Femi Ositade, it's not because he's much smarter than you. It's because, like he said, preparation, okay? I'll give you an example. There's an exam called GMAT. It's the exam you take to go into the university in the US to study business, okay? An MBA, business. And when I took this, the very first time I took this GMAT, okay? And when I say I took it, I just went online and I said, practice test GMAT. The very first time I took it, I cannot even tell you what my score in math was. It was so bad that I said, Jesus, how is this going to happen? But for 1.5 years, and this was while I was working, I was going to work. At the end of work, I remember very well, I was working at Lagos Island then. I lived on mainland. So instead of putting my head into traffic every night, what I would do is to carry my books. That time, they used to laugh at me that I always used to carry such a big school bag as if I'm a child. I'll carry because the books are very big. I'll carry it, I'll come to work. When work closes, I'll sit down and I'll work for 1 or 2 hours till traffic will calm down for me to go home. I did that for 1.5 years. And by the time I took my GMAT, way better. I think I had a 7. It's out of 800, and I think I had a 700 out of 800, which for GMAT scores, it would get me into some of the top schools, okay? I am a lawyer, you know, and I always struggled with math as a child. But one thing my dad would always tell me is, you're a lawyer by choice. It's not deprivation. So you must be good at math so that nobody can talk to you and say, you don't know math, that's why you became a lawyer. Is that I chose to be a lawyer. And that what that means for me is that there's no subject I look at and I'm like, oof, it's too hard. I just know that I haven't given it the required amount of time. And why am I talking about this? Outstanding SAT scores will not fall on your lap. You will not manufacture it. It will come with preparation. If you like what I did, 1 hour a day, and I'll just sit down and so. I got to a point in my life where when I see a question, I know what the answer is. I will say, this one is not the answer. It's a trick question. It's either this or this. That's how much practice I had. So outstanding JAM SAT scores. The next part is outstanding extracurriculars. And this is what we're saying about finding other things outside of school. It's not just the academics. It's not just 9A1s. It's what am I doing in my community? How am I serving my community? What creative thing am I doing? What sports am I doing? And just to speak on this issue of extracurricular, there are children and young people who get into university based on they run. They are very good runners. So the school will sponsor you to run for them while you're studying. There are people who do that. There are people who get sponsorship because maybe they started learning and teaching themselves how to program and code. And the school will sponsor you for this. 4 weeks ago, we spoke about things to do during your long holiday. The idea of when it's your long holiday, parents who are here, please, and educators, please, the idea of when it's a long holiday, after kids have been in school for 3 months, you ship them off for summer lessons for another 3 months. It has to stop in Nigeria. It has to stop. We need to start putting our kids in positions where they are exploring other parts of their minds, music lessons, language lessons, all these coding and IT camps. You know, you as a child, you also take your time to look online and see what can I learn online? How can I learn to code online? How can I learn Chinese online or Mandarin rather online? How can I do something that is outside of my math, English, science? Because that's what makes you stand out. Everybody applying to uni has math, English, science. What makes you stand out is what else are you doing and how are you showing yourself there? And all of these things, that's what will make you write a personal statement that they will read. A personal statement is a way of telling the university, I am this is what I like, this is why I want to study this course, okay? Writing it the way I've said it now, it won't get you any of these things. What will get you is telling a story about how you were struggling with this course and suddenly you started practicing and you started doing this and how you improved. Telling a story about how you contribute to your community. Maybe you help, you saw that, oh, where you live, you know, there's always a lot of trash when students are coming back from school. So you organize people to start picking up trash because of the environmental goals that the world has. These are things that make you stand out. It's not just getting 9A1s. It's not being an excellent student, okay? So when you do all of these, you check the requirements of each school, you narrow down schools, pick as many schools as you can, especially when you're in your junior classes, because what that does is, as you research into the school, as you find out about the school, you will then potentially remove some schools or add some schools or make different choices, okay? So find out what requirements you meet today. Next slide, please. Find out the requirements of the schools that you meet today. Find out the requirements of the schools that you don't meet. And then what you now have to do is, based on the requirements I don't meet, for example, they say I need to have 1,500 out of 1,600 in SATs, okay? As of today, you don't have SAT scores. So what you can do is to plan, how can I, if I'm in JSS1, you have 6 years, how can I in 6 years time make sure I have this score for SATs? If you're in SS2, you have 2 years. How can I in 2 years make sure I'm getting this score? What that means is that if a JSS1 person practices even 1 hour a week in preparing, you in SS2, you might need to do 2 hours a day because the time is short and you're trying to meet up within the next 2 years. Okay, so find out where you are today and then find out what are the requirements I need that I don't have. again, these are things that you need support for, you need mentorship for, and this is part of what JuCE can support you with. I'm going to hand over to Nwanne to speak on maybe some of the things I said and then speak on the rest of the things, so that, because I've been talking a lot, but also to hear from her perspective as we wrap up. Thank you.
All right, nice. Well done, Ada. Thank you. You've done the most work here. You've laid the ground. And just to add on to every other thing Ada has shared, and as we wrap up, Somto, please, if you don't mind, can we go to the slide before this, 22? Yeah, so using the example of, the video game designer, and so to Ada's first, even though, well, she's given that assignment, but I might just help you a little bit. So there is no university in Nigeria that offers a course in video game design. Interesting, right? But that shouldn't kill your dream. She's already even told you, like, the top schools that offer this course, and they're all in the US. And that just shows, like, how futuristic they think. They're way like ahead of us, which is fine. But that doesn't have to kill your dream to become a video game designer. And some of the things that were shared earlier around, so having faith, it's doable. My dreams are valid. I just need to put in the work. So I need to study extra hard so that I can write like all these exams and pass, and possibly, like, position yourself for a scholarship. But in terms of, like, even deciding, making that choice. So I'm going to stick with the example we have. I want to be a video game designer. And I have done my research, and I have seen that it's only XYZ schools in the US or in the UK that are offering this course as of today. There is no university in Nigeria that offers this course. But then there are, so we call them talent accelerators, that provide this type of courses. So they're not academic courses, but you get to learn how to do it. How can I plug into this? How can I also, what course? So this is now trying to, like, this is us being realistic. I want to go to the university to study this, and these are the universities offering it: Stanford, MIT. I've looked at the requirements. Okay, I have this list. I've put this on this column of my list. Now, for Nigeria, I cannot find a university that is offering this course. But then there are these talent platforms where I can learn this training. I can even take it on. So there are different platforms. So there's the Udemy, there's even on YouTube, you can find people who teach these courses, but you want to learn it and get a certification. So you probably pay a little fee. Some of them they have discounts where you can get, like, you can pay for the course for $20, or you can pay like a $50 to learn the course in 2 months, in 3 months, and then you just find a mentor who can continue to, like, guide you through the process. But then what course can I, because I'm not going to underestimate the value and the impact of education. So anybody that tells you that education is a scam is lying. And I learned that, it's part of the conversations that was had at the last session. It's very true. Do not underestimate the value of education at any point. Growing up, something that my mom always said is that the greatest gift that she can ever give to any of her children or anybody who comes under her watch is the gift of education, because it broadens your scope. So don't go into school. I understand that most of us we're in junior secondary now, but, like, I want you to keep it at the back of your mind, even as you go on into the university, even right where you are right now. So you need to be an all-round individual. Yes, academic is the sole purpose for going into school, but there's so much more that you can learn being with other people, because then it's in school that you start to learn things like discipline. You have a routine, you have a schedule. If you're in boarding house, for example, so you need to wake up at a particular time. Everybody needs to have taken their bath before 7 a.m. or 6:30 a.m. You need to have cleaned up your dormitory. You need to go for breakfast. You need to move to the class at this point, because assembly is at 8 o'clock. And then after the assembly, you're having your first session. So all those things, it feels like, oh, well, they're just being hard on us. But those are vital lessons that you're learning in terms of how you can be disciplined. Because when you move into the university, your parents are not going to be there with you. You've got to know when to get up and go to your class. Your lecturers are not going to chase you and tell you to come to class. The only thing is that maybe if it's a strict lecturer that says attendance is important, if you miss 3 of my classes, you're not going to write my exam, then maybe that's what will prompt you. There's some lecturers that they will not even look at your face, whether you're there or not. Come and write the exam, fail or pass. So it's the discipline you pick up when you are in a quote unquote structured and guided environment that guides you through. And then when we even talk about extracurricular, at a young age, why for me, I think sports is a good extracurricular to do, is that there's this extra discipline that is added. So if you're an athlete, there are certain things that they tell you not to do. And so it helps you to learn restraint, right? And even when it comes to music, so if you're going to be a vocalist, you're going to sing, they're going to tell you, oh, do not drink cold water. You have got, like, if you want to be a good vocalist, if you don't want anything to affect your vocal cords in terms of how, like, so they're it helps, like, extracurricular activities also help to build up your discipline, and that's why it's very important. So going into universities like MIT and Stanford, trust me, as much as your academic, your grades are very important, they're looking at what are the other things that you're doing outside of academic, because the way that they view it on the global stage is that your grades cannot be the only thing that define you. What else do you have? What other value, what other impact can you bring in? And that's why they acknowledge people. Yes, they appreciate that you have good grades, but then they would also look at the other things that you're doing outside of your academic work to bring you on board, to give you a scholarship. And so it's, very, very, very important that you build yourself up holistically. Grades are good. School is not a scam. Education is not a scam. Be the best that you can be. And I like the example that Ada gave about how, like, it's a good and perfect story when you come from being that E student to becoming a C student and moving up to a B. You might not even necessarily like get to the A grade, but then it shows that you are resilient, that you can put your mind to something and you make it work, you make it happen. Those are the people who are going to change the world. Those are the people who make greater and bigger impact. Just being able, because like you've seen and you understand what failure is, and if you worked yourself up to a point where you're now better than, just being at the bottom, as opposed to like remaining at the bottom and saying, oh, almost school is not for me. Oh, this is not my thing. The people that school, like, let them go and focus on it. But just being able to show that ability, or being able to show that, okay, so I started out as an athlete and I was always coming last, but then I trained extra hard and I got up to the fourth position. You might not even necessarily have become like the third, but the ability for you to have disciplined yourself enough to continue to train, and then you've gone from being the person who used to end the race last to being the person who would come fourth, and then moving on to being the person who would come third, is enough reason for them to consider you. And so now we'll just go into goal setting. Which is, I just wanted to lay out that have two plans, right? So I want to do this. I can see that I can only get this degree on a global stage. I would work at it, but even if that doesn't come to me in the next 2 years, I'm not going to kill that dream. I would work with what is available to me now. So that's why I brought in the other part as to, there are other like talent accelerators where you can learn and take like short courses. It might not necessarily be a full degree, but then I can learn this on the side and then, continue to progress. Eventually, I would get that opportunity. So don't kill that dream. I will still go to Stanford. I will still get into MIT, but it's okay to, like make contingency plans as to how you go about this. So sorry, please, can we just go to 23 first? Let me see. I hope I didn't miss out. Okay. So plan practical ways. How much time do I have? Okay, I think I'd already touched on this. So you start to pace yourself. Please, we can go to the next one. Thank you. So yeah, so set goals. And I don't know how many of us have come across the acronym SMART, which is SMART when you say it in English, SMART. But SMART goals are your set, like they have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, right? So if you do a quick search on Google as to SMART, I'll type it in the chat box once I'm done talking. What are SMART goals? So specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. I'm in JS2 now, or I'm in JS3, I'm in SS1, and I want to be a video game designer. What do I need to do? When I'm on holiday, I'm going to ask my parents to please sign me up to a short program, a short course that I can take. I know that Ada also mentioned the part around when we're on long vacation, and then the first best things that we like to think about academically is academics, and they were like, oh, we're doing the summer holiday lessons and coaching, which isn't totally bad in itself. So even in like international schools, you see that when students in colleges, you see that when students are like, they're not super good, they have like an extra semester sort of setting for them, which they do for maybe like 2-3 weeks just to bring them up to speed. So yes, not summer lessons are not for everybody, but it's, you know, for people who are struggling with their grades, but then do not make it only academics. Find some other things to inculcate within, like, you know, the summer coaching, while she learns some academic work, also learn some other skills, because like the honest truth is that those who thrive the most in their careers are people who have honed different other type of skills that get them going. Because in learning these skills, for example, if you're going to learn, like, you've seen people play the saxophone, you've seen people play the violin, and then you watch them on stage and it seems seamless. When they started out, like even the piano, as easy as it looks, like try learning like a musical instrument, and you know that it is not easy. Like, so the discipline you learn when you're trying to pick up on all these different skills would help you a long way. I digress. Sorry. So I'm going to go back to, you know, setting goals. I'm in just 2, I'm in SS1. I want to be a video game designer. That's specific. I want to be a video game designer. How do I measure it? I have the next, so take for an SS1, for example, I have the next 2 years of my life to plan as to how I get into a degree in video game design. What are the opportunities available to me? You've done that Google search. You've seen that, you know, the schools that have this courses, that have this as a degree course is, you know, Stanford, MIT, they're all in the US. And I really want to go get a degree. Like, I want to be a pro at this thing. So what do I need to do? I need to write SATs. I need to have, so based on because every school has their criteria on how they get people in for their programs. What do I need to do right now that I'm in SS1? How can I start building on that? Can I start practicing for SAT? So the different like materials, they have the books. Okay, yes, it might not be accessible to you, but how can I start to practice online? When I have access to the internet, rather than spend all 5 hours of that time on Instagram, as Ada has mentioned, or on TikTok, I'm going to spend 3 hours practicing. I'm going to spend the other 2 hours like just doing other fun activities. And the truth is that, like, so social media in itself is not even bad, because if you're using social media to follow, you know, mentors or influencers in the space that you're looking to get into, that means like there's knowledge that you are getting from being on that platform, then it's good use of your time, right? Because maybe the people that you follow, they use their social media as a means of putting out information, sharing knowledge. So you know that I'm going on Instagram, the people that I'm going to be seeing on my timeline, so Instagram, Twitter, or, you know, whatever platform that it is you like. Unfortunately, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't know how TikTok works. You know, just understanding that these people that I'm following are going to be dropping nuggets that would help me in this career path that I want to pursue. That's a good use of your time. But then allotting the proper time to say that I have 2 years to go. And so in 2 years' time, I want to have mastered XYZ because this is what I need to get into MIT, for example. Now, you know that you've outlined the fact that you have 2 years and this is what I need to do to get there. So I've tied measurable and time bound together, right? So, which is T. I have 2 years to plan for this. How am I going to go about doing it? Is it attainable? My dear, your dreams are valid. I've said this thing more than like 2 times already on this call. So yes, it is attainable. If Ada can do it, I can do it. So I'm going to go for it, right? What are the things that Ada did to get her GMAT score up? She decided that she was not going to waste that time in traffic because, like, oh, she could say, oh, let me just go home and then I would try to rest for 1 hour and do it. But she knows herself, she probably will be tired and she would sleep and get ready for the next day. So I would rather than waste that time in traffic, sit in the office and study hard so that when I get home, I know I'm just going home to rest. I wake up the next day, I'm out back at work. And then before I go home, I'm going to study again for another hour or two. So yes, it is definitely attainable. Realistic, is it realistic? I believe it is, because what you don't prepare for, you're planning to fail already, right? So it's realistic. There are people who are doing it. There are people who are in Nigeria and they are working for global companies. There are people who are like, come on, Somto is here on this call. He's an animator. He went and he represented Nigeria in France the other day. So, like, there is nothing that you set your mind to that you cannot achieve as long as you prepare accordingly and you set goals to get to that. I would wrap up with that. And so yes, there's JuCE. JuCE is committed to helping you as a young person to to actualize your dream. So if you feel like I'm saying this to my parents, they do not understand, if you can plead with them, like, okay, you just want a conversation with a mentor from JuCE and see how that mentor can, probably get on a call to explain and understand. If we're being honest, the truth is that like every parent loves their child and they're wishing for the best. And so a lot of times where as older people, they're thinking about your security, your future security. So like they want you to, it's based on the knowledge and understanding of what they have. So if you need help with, making that decision, you need help with also getting your parents on board. I'm sure that's something that that's why JuCE is here. JuCE is happy to support you, work with you on your journey. They're committed to helping you every day. And that's why every 2 weeks you're having sessions and they're bringing different people, different mentors to share from their experience and have conversations with you and your parents and your teachers. So feel free to connect with JuCE, and happy to also connect with anybody after now. So thank you very much again, Ada, for having me on today's session. It's been amazing sharing with each and every one of you. And I hope that you've taken something useful from today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, Nwanne. What a wonderful way to wrap up today's session. Yeah, thanks for your insights. It's amazing to listen to you, to hear from you. And I love the realistic part you put, maybe you try, like we spoke at the beginning, perseverance. You try for MIT, for Stanford, for all of that, you don't get it. Okay. What can I be doing today? Okay, that can get me there. Many of our mentors have spoken to how, for example, Somto started off in microbiology, and today he's an animator, but he spoke to how even from university, he was drawing, he was doing this animation and all of that. We have the actress who spoke to you, Uche Chika. She started off in geography, and she spoke about participating in a lot of extracurriculars, attending short courses during her holiday to help herself. So I love the realistic part you brought in, because some people will strive and they would get it at the first try. But if you don't get it at the first try, remember our formula at the beginning: perseverance and faith. Keep going, just keep going for it. So that's the end of it. Next slide is about questions. So I know usually we take as many questions as possible, but we are increasingly having more students. So what we're going to ask is for the mentors, Nkem and Samuel, who are in the school, to pick 1 or 2 questions which are most pertinent for today, okay? And when I say pertinent for today, there are some questions that children who are listening, there are some questions that Samuel and Nkem, your mentors there with you, can answer. And there are some questions that maybe even if they can answer, we want to discuss it on this general platform. So please, if they can give you the opportunity to ask 1 or 2 questions, 2 from Center for Memories in Enugu, 2 from Plateau State, Metropolitan College, Nwanne and I can support you. And then if there are also other people who are on the call, parents, educators who might have questions or comments, we will take them before we wrap up for today, please. So Nkem or Samuel, who wants to go first? Any questions from the audience? Okay, I think in the meantime, before questions from Samuel, Somto, if you can just go to the next slide to quickly speak about the next few sessions, the next session we have coming up. In 2 weeks' time, we have someone speaking on medicine, internal medicine, okay? So we've had so far a maritime lawyer, an animator, we've had people, an actress, a lawyer, a tech product manager, and now we're having someone coming to speak about internal medicine. So what is internal medicine? How is it different from other types of medicine? Is there such a thing as external medicine? It's funny because when I actually had internal medicine, I was like, isn't all medicine internal? So those are some questions you can come and you can find out. You find out her journey, you find out how Van, I can see you, will give you the opportunity to speak in 2 minutes. You find out Miss Songa's journey, how she got to where she is, what she's doing today, what internal medicine will look like in 10 years when you, as a child, you're taken over from her. and yeah, how you can position yourself to be where she is today. So that's our session on the 20th of July. So please, if you're interested in medicine or science, or even if you're not interested, but you think it's something that you would like to listen to, please show up on the 20th again to hear about Songo's journey. Vaughn, please, you can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much for this interesting session. I'm a parent and two of my children are paying attention too. And you said something about linking a student to a mentor.
Absolutely.
Especially because in Nigeria, there are some areas where we don't even have universities offering those courses yet. So after this now, is there a way we can link up with your website or with you to do that kind of thing? You're talking about letting them just have some hands-on experience with a mentor so that they can verify if that career path is truly what they want. Like one of my children is interested in editing on a laptop. He already started doing some self-learning, but he needs to really find out if that's what he wants to do.
Mrs. Vaughn, thank you so much for joining. It makes me so deeply happy when parents are part of this conversation and trying to support the kids. So thank you. So if you go all the way to the last slide. Yes, so these are all of our social media. You can connect to us on our website. Our number is on our website. Next time, actually, I'll put our phone number here. It's on our website. This is our email, info@JuCE You can connect to us. Send an email. I check the email every day so we can support, the child. What we actually aim to do, and I love that you're asking for the opportunity for mentorship. This is what JuCE really wants to do, to be in a position to hear a child say, I want to do this. And we can look for a mentor doing that thing and to connect them to that mentor for them to ask questions and to gain the support they need. And even to get directions to say, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you check this? What are you learning with? Oh, you can try this. So please, by all means, connect with us on any of these media, email, Instagram or whatever, and we will connect with you. If you check our website, you even see our phone number, so you can text that phone number and we can start the conversation there. So thank you. And nice to meet you, Ms. Vaughn, and your kids that are there. It's nice.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
thank you so much.
The
pleasure is ours.
Yes. Samuel, you can quickly ask your question or the questions, and we can go ahead. Please unmute and ask.
If I want to become a vet doctor, and my parents are saying I should go for medical doctor, how will I convince them that I should go for the vet?
Okay, you want to be a vet doctor and your parents want you to be a medical doctor?
Yes.
Okay. Next, okay, thank you for your question. We will answer it. Let's take all of the questions together and we can answer. Is there another question?
Yeah, we have another question.
Okay.
If I want to go for a course in the university and then my parents are saying that I should go for a different course that I don't want to go for, what will I do and how will I tell them and how will I tell them respectively that I want to do this in future, I want to be this in future? How will I tell them?
Thank you. So a similar question to the other one. Thank you for your question. We will answer. Samuel, is that all of the questions?
Yes, that's all the questions.
Okay, thank you. I will defer to Ms. Nwanne to start off the... I'm leaving you with the hard ones. No, I'm joking. But I'll let you start off answering and I can contribute. But thank you so much for your questions. Very important questions. Yeah.
Thank you. So interesting questions, and I actually really do love the questions that have been asked. And I can relate to these questions, right? So to the first question, you want to be a vet doctor and your parents are telling you to just be like, to study general medicine. And to be honest, I think it comes from a place of genuine concern. So remember when I said that I said I was going to study medicine, and by the time, SS3, right, jam, and I'm like, okay, medicine, and I'm thinking, I don't want to do this thing anymore. And so I said I wanted to apply for physiology. So, well, because my mom, was in the medical field and she did understand, and she tried to encourage me, said, no, just do general medicine first, and then you can now specialize afterwards, but like explore, because in exploring, it sort of like helps you see what part of medicine you now want to focus in. So it was from a genuine place of love. That's the way that I'll see it, even though eventually I didn't end up studying medicine because I just, made a decision, and I had to have that conversation. We had to say, I don't really think that this is where I want to be.
When your network cut off for a bit, in case you're still speaking. Hello? Okay. I think until she joins, then I can handle the question. One major concern, and if you listen to when I started speaking at the beginning, I kept saying, there's no point of us speaking to you and speaking to you and speaking to you, and your parents, which is typical of Nigerian parents, want you to do something different. Okay, one, I'm going to give you back. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. Because I logged in on my phone, it threw me off on this one. Okay, so yes, I'm back. So I would say, why do you want to, so I think the first question is, why do you really want to study veterinary medicine, right? Ask yourself that question. And if you're able to communicate that to your parents, they probably would see. And if there's some other person who is a family friend, who is an uncle and auntie, who you think you can also speak to and just, express yourself and see how you can come together and have that conversation with your parents to see or understand why you want to study veterinary medicine, because you need to be able to prove yourself, right? And I'm going to go further in answering that question by answering the next question on the way that I think you can approach having this conversation. So the second question was around wanting to do something and then your parents want you to do something else, right? And so very similar. When I finished my first degree, I got a job even before I did my final project defense, which was interesting, right? Because I had volunteered for that organization over time, even when I was in the university. And the CEO had said, once you're done with school, you have a place here. So it was even them who reminded me, because they thought I'd finished my exam, so I should have been done with school. And I said, okay, yes, I'm up for it. I'm going to start working here. And I did that for a year and a half. But I just knew that I wanted more. And to be honest, because it was an oil and gas servicing firm, and oil and gas back then, like that sounded like a lot of security, and there was like growth potential. I'd already even started taking some certification courses in that field, in that industry. But then I now figured that like there is more to that I want. And I was going to move into the quote and unquote, as my mom said, the unknown, right? But I remember having to sit down. And so we all have different styles. And I knew that I needed to make her understand why I wanted to do it. So first things first, it just comes from understanding who your parents and the type of conversations that you have and how you broach that conversation. Because I knew that for her to come on board with me, she needed to see and understand that I was really passionate about this, number one. Number two, I had like solid reasons why I wanted to switch from this quote and unquote secured opportunity that I was already in to this path where I'm now just exploring, right? So I wrote her a very long letter. That was my own way of communicating, because in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, if I sit down with her and I'm trying to talk to her, she probably will be asking me some questions, or she'll be trying to suggest some other things, and I might just feel defeated. Because honestly, growing up, maybe I was not at the place where I could really speak freely, not because anybody was going to harm me, but I just felt like, out of respect, I didn't want to have to counter so much of the things that you're saying. So I felt like the best way that I could communicate that to her was to write everything out. So do you know what I did? I poured out my heart in that letter, and I explained to her why I thought this was a good opportunity for me, because this is like, and I had to lay out different things, like from even when I was in uni, the things that I was doing, and how I thought that this opportunity would help me explore and, you know, help me explore this more, and why I thought it was a good opportunity. And so she read the letter. I remember going to work that day, and I'm checking with her, have you read the letter? Have you read the letter? Because she was supposed to be at work. And she's like, well, she hasn't had time, so she's had a busy day. And when I got home that evening, we actually did sit down to talk about it. And she asked questions. She was still not very convinced. So it's not like, it's not always easy. She wasn't very convinced about it. But the good thing is that she said, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. And so it might be a different approach, but I think that we need to learn to build self-confidence as young people. For some other person, it might have been easy to like sit down with their parents and have that conversation, but just because of my personality, and it was me understanding my personality, that when I'm speaking to her, she probably would have like certain suggestions, and I would feel like I'm being disrespectful if I try to counter it. So what I did was that I just poured out my heart from the beginning to the end. It was like a 3 long foolscap sheet of letter that I wrote, just explaining, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. I've explored everything in the past 18 months, or actually 19 months. And I feel like there is not much more for me here. But if I go into this, it's going to allow me to explore this part and this part and this part of these things that I have interest in, these things that I've tried to explore even when I was in the university. We had the conversation. She wasn't like totally sold out on it, but I was able to convince her. Because the truth is that sometimes like your parents are looking out for you from the better part, but they really love you. They are open to hearing from you, but they would still, try to put stand their ground in terms of, oh, I believe that this is what is best for you. She did say, I don't have a lot of confidence in this, but if that's what you want to do, let's see how it goes for the next, few months. And that's how I got into tech in the first place. So I left the quote unquote structured place of being in an office to work with somebody who was not even based in Nigeria. And this is some like 9 years ago. Remote work remote work wasn't popular. So imagine her shock and reaction, like, come on, like you're going to the office every day. I'm happy with you doing this. And now you want to work with somebody who is in the UK, who I've never met. We've never met. We don't know what's going on. You're going to be working via Skype and Slack and all these tools. How does that make sense to you? And I had to prove to her why I did think that it was the right direction for me to take at that point in time. She didn't bite into it until maybe some months down the line. And then she's seeing me taking some interviews on CNN. And she's like, okay, maybe there's really something here. Right. So being confident and, that means you've done your research, first of all, about this career path that you're even pursuing. And, like their prospects. If you can find 1 or 2 people who are able to speak to that career path, and also like, explain to your parents what is possible within that career and why, it's a good option, that can also help. Now, when I had that conversation with my mom, I was more matured. I'd finished from the university. You are in secondary school now, so it might almost be hard because they would think, oh, like you don't have a lot of experiences. So being confident in why you want to do this, that means you've made your research, that like, the opportunities that lie ahead for you, and then finding someone who is able to now have this conversation on behalf of you or with you to your parents is a way that you can address trying to convince them to come on board why you should be, pursuing that career path. I hope that helps.
Thank you so much, Nwanne. Thank you. I think honestly, this question comes up so much. Almost every session we have, this question comes up. you know, and it's not, and I love that it comes up because it's never a redundant question, you know. At the beginning of this conversation, I spoke about sorry, at the beginning of this conversation, I spoke about how all of this conversation is pointless if parents are not participating, if we don't have parents here supporting their kids. If a parent is here the day we have a vet doctor speaking and they see the impact or the potential that a vet doctor can make, they might not be as worried. One thing I always like to say is most parents are not wicked. They love you. And all they're really looking for is financial security for you at the end of the day. An average Nigerian parent, and if we're being truthful about the situation of Nigeria, they know what it means that you finish school and you're looking for jobs for years. They know what it means that you have to keep working and working and working the rest of your life, because the average system, there's no fallback plan. There's no social security. There's none of that. So they want to put you in a position where you never have to struggle. There are two answers to this question, okay? The first answer being what Nwanne has given, convincing them. And convincing them can be finding someone who is in that field. Find a vet doctor, or the second person who asked the question, find someone in the field you want to study who is successful in that field and who can speak and support you in explaining to your parents why vet doctors have a good career, they make good money, and they can sustain themselves even in Nigeria, okay? Vet doctors outside the country, that's even much just a very lucrative career. So try to get somebody, and this is again how JuCE can support you. We can support you by looking for a young vet doctor who is successful in their career and who can support you in speaking to your parents, okay? That's one step. The second step being that, unfortunately, your parents will get their way. Unfortunately, they will insist. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter if the sky falls down, they will insist. Number one, please try not to be sad about it and think they don't love you, they don't support you, they don't understand. It's just them trying to make sure, like we said, that you're never in a position where you have to struggle, okay? But the second step to it is, if this is the path I want, and I'm sure I want it, and they've made me go here, how can I, after graduating from here, find my way to this? And this is why we speak about a journey, okay? Many people might not have that, oh, I go into uni, I study this, I come out and do this, okay? Many people will take a journey. Somcho, our animator, has spoken about how he started off studying microbiology, okay? And today he's a leading animator in Nigeria, okay? The actress who spoke to you many weeks ago started with geography, and she spoke to you about how she found her way into acting. Sometimes, because your parents are your parents, they pay the fees, they do everything, and no matter how much you try, you cannot convince them, okay? You have to take I start with this. People often speak about, they wanted me to study law. Okay, now I've given them the law degree. I can do anything I want, you know? I was listening to Lai Wasabi, who is this very big social media guy, and he was speaking about law and about when he graduated from law school or from university, his parents started saying, oh yeah, go and practice law, And he started off in his NYSC practicing law, but then he now started taking his content creation very seriously. When his parents saw that there were big companies willing to hire him, pay him a lot of money, give him all sorts of experience. Next thing, his parents, do you know what he said recently? He said that now they are no more forcing me to go and work as a lawyer. They are suggesting, They're saying, it won't be bad though if you do it. But they know that this career he's in today affords him some type of life that they already want. He's comfortable. Okay. So I just want you to have it at the back of your mind. The third thing I'll say, honestly, is prayer. And this might sound very, if you try convincing your parents, they don't agree. Just say, God, you know my heart. You know what I want to do. You know why I want to do this. Again, this is what Nwanne said about your value. Why do you want to be a vet doctor? What's the value behind it? God, help me to find my way there. And either it's the Bible says the hearts of kings and rulers are in the hands of God. So even your parents' hearts, it's in the hands of God. So either God himself will find a way to convince your parents, or when you put it at his feet, God is going to find a way for you to get to where you eventually need to be. That's the truth about it. There's no other way to say it. If you cannot convince them by finding mentors, people who can help you speak to them, no problem. Do what they want you to do, because someone has to pay the school fees. Okay, so do that. And then don't give up. Keep taking extracurriculars. Keep trying to, even as a medical student, I have a friend who used to go sit in on lectures of another course because in fact, I think it was Uche, the actress that spoke about it. When she had time, she would go sit in some acting or theater classes because that's what she really wanted to do. Okay, so you find a way to fight for what you want. God by your side, you will get there. Okay, so don't be discouraged. Keep pushing, and at some point in life, your parents will have to let you do what you want to do, especially when they see that you're getting successful at it. So so that's the end of the story. I'm going to hand over to Chika to just round us off for today because we're way over time. But Chika, you're still on the call. If you could please close out for us.
Yes, I am. So just want to thank everybody for joining in. Thank you everyone that stayed till the end, particularly because we know that we overshot the time, but you stayed because you obviously understood the value in what we're having. Please don't forget, like, if you're here, because I know someone asked questions about, keeping in contact with us. The best way to keep in contact with us is to literally like stay in contact with us by following us. You can always send us emails, you can always reach out to us, but following us on social is more or less the quickest and fastest way to get to us. So that being said, thank you everyone. Thank you, Nwanne, for coming to speak to us. We really appreciate it. And particularly thank you for even all the students that joined us. You guys are literally superstars, and I think taking an interest in this now, it only it only shows that you are on the path to do great things, because you're kind of like, it's almost like you have an edge. It's almost like you have like the advantage now, because information is power. So thank you everybody for joining us. Please, we'll see you in 2 weeks. We have another event coming up in 2 weeks, so make sure that you join again and again. Thank you so much and have an amazing weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye, bye.